everybody.
We are back in our normal location, although Shannon is still gone. We have not rebranded.
No.
Today we are talking about communication. And it's difficult, I think, for any company of any size to have flawless communication, because it's a team full of people. We're all people that are flawed, and so communication gets flawed. We all speak differently and understand things differently. And one of the big things we wanted to talk about today was you can't typically over communicate.
No.
Like, it is very difficult to over communicate.
Right. You can overshare.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Which would be like, well, if you don't know what oversharing is, good for you.
Google it.
If you do, then you know what sort of a uncomfortable pain that is when somebody overshares. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about oversharing. We're talking about under communication versus what would be preferable, which is over communication. Which I get that nobody wants a 50-paragraph manifesto email.
No, I don't.
But finding a happy medium between that and a sure got it or something to that effect in an email is a good idea.
Or I don't like this.
Right. Or so I kind of break it into a couple different categories. There's the I don't want to hurt people's feelings categories. So I'm going to be really general and just hope that they catch the drift without actually saying what it is that I need to say.
Dropping hints.
Yeah. But usually the hints that you think you're dropping are much more succinct in your head. I could say something in generalization and be like, I'm sure Shannon got the point. I don't need to explain that to her anymore. I'm sure she got it. I'm sure she understands. And then have her be like, I don't know what just happened, and come to you later and say, do you have any idea about this? Because I don't know what just happened.
Or what's even worse than that, Shannon thinks she got the point and goes and runs with it, and then realizes later that
that wasn't the point.
That wasn't it at all.
Yeah. You need to have enough adult bones in your body to just sit down and say whatever it is that you need to say, good, bad, or otherwise. But you need to have the conversation and get all the information out there so that if there are questions can be answered.
Be an adult and say what you need to say.
Right.
There is a difference. You can be to the point and still be kind. It depends on where it's coming from. Right? Like, it depends on where it's coming. Are you trying to be a jerk? Because if you're trying to be a jerk, you're going to come across as a jerk. If you're actually trying to be helpful, you will probably come across as helpful. One of the best things I've always heard is their response is not your responsibility. Their response is not your responsibility. So you communicate and do it in a way you know is coming from a helpful place, and their response is their responsibility.
True. My next category would be research, or just providing helpful information to people. So if Lacy asks me, hey, I need to work on X, Y, and Z at the end of the week. I don't have time, or I could really use some help preparing for that. Can you help me with the research aspect of it? Or the background, or whatever the case may be. So I have one of two options. I can do what's 100% easiest for me, which is the bare minimum, and that's pulling the things that I have at my fingertips, and just being like, here you go, this is what I could find. That's the first option. The second option is to provide that information, but also do some digging. And if there are specific things that Lacy says she's looking for, then I go and try and find those things. I try and find, events, bullet points, websites, whatever the case may be, to be like, hey, I know you were wanting to talk about this topic and here's some information that I found about it. Or even, I really struggled to find information on this specific topic, but I found this other stuff too. This is why I thought it might be helpful. This is why I thought you might be able to use it.
And this also goes for when you're assigning tasks. If you can give as much information as you already have, that will help the person do the task to their best ability. You know, if they can understand why they're doing that, or all the background information you can think of to give them on what's led up to that point. Those are all very helpful things to give to somebody that is going to be completing something for you,
Right.
whether that's, again, like I said, a task, or like April said, a research project you've been assigned. So.
The other important point here, if you're the one who's being asked to present information, make sure you understand the information.
That's a good point.
It's not going to do a hill of beans worth of good to have this incredibly beautiful presentation, slideshow, PowerPoint, full-length movie of whatever it is that you're doing, if you can't explain the rationale behind it, if you can't explain why you have these different components, what led you to these different conclusions, ideas, thoughts, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
that's not going to help anybody either.
Nope.
So
Nope.
know your stuff, basically, and share it.
Yeah.
Don't just keep it all locked away in your head.
It's not a good place for it to be, because it doesn't do anybody a lick of good in your head. I just said a lick of good.
I said a hill of beans.
Good stuff.
We can go home now.
We can go home.
We've covered all the topics.
All right, mic drop. We're out. There's so much more we could say about
There is.
communication, but we don't want this video to last an
Forever.
hour.
An hour. She says an hour, I say forever. But if you have fun communication stories, feel free to share them with us.
Yes. So yeah, drop a comment below. Like April said, things gone wrong, things gone right. Help other people out watching this video with your stories.
Yeah.
And us out too. Why not?
Yeah.
We have not learned all there is to learn about all
No.
the things. We still have communication issues, just like everybody else. So, good chatting with you this Tuesday, and we will catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.